is our second annual Hempcrete Week that we've hosted from the Hempstead. Last year, come a long way from last year, 1 year ago, when we had never used the machine. And the cottage that we're going to be plastering today is the caretaker's cottage. We're really happy that everybody's here. We feel like last year was the start of hopefully something that we'll be able to do every single year, and seeing the progress that was made from Hempcrete Week 1 to Hempcrete Week 2 is wild. We got to see what I think is the future for sustainable building in the United States. It's hard to explain, and it hasn't really sunk in yet, but it's possible. It's possible to timber frame, build a home, hempcrete it, and be living in it in a couple months now.
Yeah, thank you guys all for coming too. The technique that we're going to be showing you today on the caretaker's cottage is a variation of a plaster base coat finish that you can do over hempcrete. What I'd like to do here is to show that there are techniques and finishes that you can employ that you could do anywhere. You can be in a remote location, you can be in an urban environment. You don't need to hire in expensive labor and things like that. So so usually with this mix, we'll mix it and let it sit overnight, and one of the things that happens is that the lignins and the hemp sort of absorb into the plaster and give it a little bit of stickiness and plasticity. So yeah, we're going to be putting it over the hempcrete that we did in the caretaker's cottage last year. There's some patches down there from the goats. The goats got in and ate some of the hempcrete. So yes, hempcrete is pest resistant. It's not pest proof. Goats are pests. farm pests. Today is about a finishing technique for this. Tomorrow we're going to be doing a spray applied install. I want you all to have the experience of putting the stuff on the wall. If there's questions about hempcrete or install or anything like that, fire away. So I have the first batch mix down there. I have the wood trowel, so we're using a wood trowel. Basically, you're going to put it on by hand, use a wood trowel to flatten it, and then, like I said, we have some things that we can check and make sure that it's level.
This plaster method makes hempcrete available to everybody. So it is no longer impossible to do. In fact, it's very possible, and it's much cheaper now because you don't have somebody coming 3 different times who's a artist to finish your hempcrete.
Should we get rolling?
We're good to go, yeah.
So we've been asking all the attendees that are here for Hempcrete Week 2021 what their favorite thing about hempcrete is.
That it's all natural and it takes a long time to dry.
Yes, that's very exciting.
I love that it's a healthy material and there's no smells and it's super pleasant to work with.
I love that it is chemical free.
I like the color and the way it absorbs light and sound.
I loved it. Today it wasn't about spray, it was about making a plaster with using hemp, and it's very user-friendly, and I love the idea that pretty much anybody could do it. We had children doing it today, and they did just as well as the grown-ups.
Yes, I did. It's very easy to use, and I really enjoy all the different benefits of it as well.
I mean, the fact that literally I have no experience with it whatsoever, and within 15 minutes I felt like I had complete grasp of what I needed to do it on my own, at my own house, which is what my plan is.
I love Hempcrete for a number of reasons that I can't get into all of, but mostly for its strengthening of older buildings, its breathability and durability over time.
I love that it's only 3 ingredients to create: hurd, lime, and water. It's perfectly organic and it's great for the environment.
Lots of fun learning and getting to be hands-on, I feel, is always super nice than just doing like lecture format.
It was great. I really enjoyed working with the material. It's so beautiful.
I've never done plastering before in any form, and also to see a dried and cured hempcrete structure. That was the first time that I've seen that, really. So it was just a great learning experience and hands-on as well.
I love the idea that hempcrete can be used for multiple applications, not just houses, but pottery, art. There's a whole endless possibility to how the hemp plant can be used for industrial purposes, and we're just breaking the surface of it.
Do a hempcrete day 1 wrap.
Day 1 wrap.
And action. All right, day 1 of Hempcrete 2021 is coming to an end. The Hempcrete plaster is up. It's looking fantastic. This is a long time coming, so thanks everybody for their help. It was awesome. Cameron is teaching people how to get this stuff on here flat. We have trowels. You want to show a little bit what you were working on?
Yeah, let me get my gloves. Cut. So yeah, we're just looking for any low spots on the wall, and essentially just putting in a little bit of the fresh plaster mix, using our wood trowel to kind of smooth it and level it, and then the steel trowel. Eric, if you can hand me that.
Yes, sir.
The steel trowel to tighten the coat and flatten it, because Eric wants this to be the finish. So if it's going to be a finish, we want it nice and compressed and closed, so that we can either paint it or that it can be clean, that it won't present little areas for bugs and dirt and dust and things like that to collect. So we're just going along and sort of Simonizing the wall, finding anything that we don't like and leveling it out. So again, a very forgiving finish that's easy to manipulate and easy to fix.
Woo! All right.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why I can work with it.
Yeah. I've taken over now as the distributor for the equipment here in the United States. And starting in March of this year, we did the first residential home that I did myself. We did a discussion. You say, this is what we want to do, and they say, okay, what materials are you using? Do you have, manufacturer safety and data sheets? Do you have all that kind of stuff for your materials? That's going to be an obstacle in certain situations if you're trying.
To unite rural and urban communities to build regional economies that are resilient and regenerative and just and produce our basic needs close to home. So we began all together now about 2.5 years ago with a meeting in my living room, and we started with hemp because hemp was banned for 80 years. Some of those folks that we met 2.5 years ago are here, Cameron and Anna and Caitlin and Patrick and so on. We chose hemp to start because it was a new industry. And so we thought, rather than having these large corporations monopolize this industry as they have most others, why don't we start from the ground up? to see if we can make this industry locally based and really help our farmers and our small businesses and help us to be self-reliant, because hemp is so versatile. You can use it to make clothing, you can use it as plant medicine, you can use it for building material with a hempcrete, and you can eat it. So what could be better? So without further ado, here's Cameron McIntosh.
Welcome, everyone. We're on the tail end of our second annual Hempcrete Week that we've been doing with All Together Now in the Hempstead. We've had a great week. We did 3 days of Hempcrete style workshops. The first was at Eric's place up in Stroudsburg, doing a plaster finish on a cabin that we started last year at Hempcrete Week, so it's been a year-long project. Thank you to Judy and All Together Now and Eric for organizing all this week. If you look around, we've got some planter boxes that the that the workshop participants cast today. And that's sort of how I found Hempcrete. I made the same mistake everyone does when they hear that word, and I thought it was something structural. It is not, so that's a good segue into what is Hempcrete. If it's not structural, as the name implies. So again, it's a non-structural biocomposite insulation and walling material, basically a combination of the inner woody core of the fiber industrial hemp stalk, so real commodity agriculture fiber industrial hemp, not cannabinoid produced hemp like THC or CBD. And we mix that inner woody core, which you can see here, with a lime-based binder to create this material. It can be installed in several different ways. Cast in place is the method that you see here in front of me, which the workshop participants also did today as a demonstration for you all, where you're basically using slip forms like you would for concrete to create a void into which you place the material. And I say place because it is not meant to be very dense. It's an insulation material, so you're actually trapping a matrix of air pockets in the wall, and that's what gives you your thermal resistance. It does also have mass. As you can see here, you've created quite a thick wall. So unlike traditional insulations that just sort of reflect heat and cold energy, this material will actually absorb, hold, and slowly dissipate hot and cold energy, sort of like a log cabin or a stone building would. Go ahead, Eric. So here's an image of a retrofit that we did, cast in place. You can see here the team is working with a form board that's been offset from the wall. They're placing the material in and then tamping it. We tamp sort of tighter towards the face of the form because that makes a nice compressed surface for plaster, which is the preferred finish for Hempcrete. And they leave it sort of mounded and lofted in the middle. But just like this demonstration wall here, you can see how the material exists in the plane of the wall. We still have a normal stud frame, traditional stud frame, and the material is best placed so that there's Hempcrete on either side of that frame, and at which point you're actually eliminating any thermal bridging. Again, my preferred method of installation is the spray applied method. Spray applied, you only have a formwork on one side of the wall, so it eliminates a lot of the labor involved with moving formwork and the carpentry that's involved with that. So we're actually spraying to fill this cavity from the outside. And when you spray, as opposed to with cast in place where the material is sort of supported from the base, when you spray, it's actually being built out from the face, and it does actually stick to the wall and the timbers. So our spray applied method is about 60% faster than doing the traditional cast in place method. So we are the United States distribution point for the Bomber E-Reezy spray application system, which you can see here. This is the hardware that delivers the herd via these vacuum hoses down through the lance. That's a big heavy air line that hooks up to an air compressor that creates that vacuum. And then this hopper box is where you deliver the material and it distributes it to the hoses. Again, it cuts labor by about 60% in comparison with cast in situ. And there's an overall 10 to 20% reduction in cost, therefore. The E-Reezy binder cures in about 6 to 8 weeks as opposed to 10 to 12 with a more traditional binder. It's a lighter herd to binder ratio, which means a higher R value, less mass, but higher R value, and a greater cost efficiency. Now, final version of installing Hempcrete are precast elements. So what you see here is, this is me working on the project in Taconic, New York. These are actually the coexist blocks. So these are Drew and Anna's precast blocks. So what a precast system allows you to do is install the material and plaster right away. So typically we're waiting for this material to dry out and cure, again, anywhere from 6 to 12 weeks before you can plaster it. Whereas with a precast element that can be given to any mason can lay these blocks just like they would a cinder block, you're eliminating that sequencing time. So this project was actually really interesting. We did the coexist precast block off the inside of the frame, and then we sprayed from the outside. I think of all of these methods as tools in a toolbox. They're not all appropriate in all situations. Sometimes they make more sense than another method. But again, I am not partial to any one. I told Drew and Anna as soon as they came out with a block that I wanted to be their first installer, which I ended up being, which is pretty cool. And same for the spray applied or cast in place. I've done all of them. So I want to talk a bit about the U.S. Hemp Building Association. We have several members here from the U.S. Hemp Building Association, which is a professional body here in the United States that is focused on hemp building materials specifically, not just hempcrete, but that is our primary focus. Our goal is to achieve full ASTM and ICC code approval for hempcrete and other hemp building materials. But thank you all very much for coming. Looking forward to speaking with you afterwards. Cheers.